are you respecting the art form is all that matters. But I know, as being a dancer who was very much in the scene for many, many years, there is not any support. But I know for sure in dance music, and and I've always been very vocal about it. A person like me doesn't still get any. Even if I want an appointment, I will not get it, no matter what I may be doing, quote unquote, for society.
Nehha Bhatnagar is a prominent young classical dancer from Delhi. She is the senior disciple of Padma Bhushan awardee Dr. Saroja Vidyanathan. She is the founder president of Sarvam Foundation, where she curates and holds massive art festivals to demystify performing arts and artists. Sarvam Shakti, a flagship project under the foundation, seeks to introduce the performing arts to underprivileged girls as a part of a holistic education program. We are so happy to have you here with us today. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this interview.
Thank
Thank
you
you for
so
taking
much.
out the time.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks so much.
Right. I'll just start with the first question. As a professional Bharatanatyam dancer, the pandemic has undoubtedly hit your profession hard. For some, it has opened up new spaces and opportunities, but for others, it has meant challenges. What changes to your dance performance and practice have you had to make? Also, how have you been keeping up with the changes and are you able to carry out your profession with the same intensity throughout the pandemic?
Right. For me, I think the answer would be different because I did perform it very avidly, very seriously till a few years ago, till about 3 years ago. But now I'm not doing as much with performance and travel the way I used to. The reason being that I'm shifting gears. So Sarvam Shakti has really become one key focus of my work. But the other reason being I'm doing a lot of studying. So for me, did not I'm doing this diploma and a master's in social work, in meditation. There's a lot going on in my life right now, but I know for sure that um, generally as a practitioner, so for practice it's not been as hard because it's been a great way for me to explore practicing in parks, in open spaces, because we're not going to be in closed spaces. That has been great because it's a whole different thing being in nature and dancing. And in dance, I've been focusing on improving my abhinaya skills, which is emotions, right? So, one key thing I realized with the pandemic is that because you felt so many conflicting emotions and so many other things, for me being far away from home and all of that as well, it was a great way for me to channelize my what I'm feeling and how I want to express myself and the things going on in the world. And so it took a different turn and it led to more abhinay practice, recording videos using using abhinaya to tell different stories outdoors again. So because I was not performing as much, that did not matter. But as a practitioner, it took on different forms, for which I'm actually grateful because I'm realizing more and more that Abhinay is getting closer to my heart. So there are avenues that we find to be resilient, I guess.
Right. Um, Sarvam Shakti, part of Sarvam Foundation, has been empowering girls with dance classes, remedial academics, and other skill training. How has the pandemic impacted these girls and their learning process? And how has Sarvam Shakti been dealing with this issue of the digital divide?
Right. That's a very good question because Sarvam Shakti has over 234 girls,
Wow.
probably close to 240 now. And they belong to the marginalized section of society. So, of course, if you think the pandemic is hard for you and me, you can imagine what it is for them. They are in like rooms 5 by 5, 6 by 6, feet big rooms with like 3, 4, 5 people some parents losing jobs, and so on. What I realized is, even before the pandemic, that not only classical dance, yoga, meditation, any creative arts, fine arts, all of them make people more resilient. And that I had seen before the pandemic, which is why our curriculum is a holistic curriculum in emotional, spiritual, physical, mental development. But during the pandemic, it really rung true. Like it brought it home as to how amazing it can be to heal these girls. Surprisingly, none of them really fell ill during this whole time of being indoors, and none of the depression kind of stuff or any mental issues and all of that, because they have these amazing things to do, to learn, which a lot of their peers don't have access to, because a lot of their government schools are not even running the way our private schools are running, with regular classes and all, because of data issues and device issues. So they don't have access to much. But Shakti has ensured that all of the girls get devices. So we had this campaign, we reached out, a lot of amazing people contributed money, and not only that, we had asked actually for phones. So they had given phones. And now, in fact, through ITISARAS, I would like to actually request, if anyone is interested, to look up Sarvam Shakti and donate data. It's just about 2,400 a year, and we can connect you directly to girls as well. But it would be helpful because the pandemic has continued longer than we thought. And so we are looking for data. But yes, Sarvam as a whole is generally giving them all of this education, ensuring that they're not running out of rations. So we are connected to a couple of food banks as well, and remedial academics as well. So we have a whole plethora of interns from schools and colleges who are teaching our girls academic tuitions as well.
All right. So yes, like again, like requesting all of you watching, please donate to Sarvam Shakti. They have been doing some great work. 2,400 bucks. Like for the people, I'm sure, like who are watching this, it's not that much. Like it's coming down to 200 bucks a month. Like people order coffees more expensive than this over one sitting. So please, like, extend your support. Like it's going out to girls who really need it. And yes, like it's my humble request to all of you watching. Like please donate.
Thanks,
Okay, I'll just come to my next question. So the pandemic has brought a lot of changes to classical art. For example, social media is now becoming a very important space for dancers to perform, release videos, and network. What is your opinion on this development? And do you think it will bring a positive change to the art form, or does it come with its own downfall?
Look, honestly, I don't know if I can comment on if it'll cause a downfall, because I don't know. But I do know that it's a great outlet for a lot of people who are professionally into dancing, singing, theater right now, when they can't express themselves. Kudos to that, actually, that they're able to express, and people who are not able to go watch and support are able to watch. So, no questions asked about that. It's needed, it's here to stay. The only thing, though, is a lot of art, that the way it's portrayed, it where I think the balance we as a society need to create is, um, how much visibility is too much visibility. As in, because now that you have access to it 24/7, is that, do you really think, is do we have to ask ourselves deep within, is it a lack of something we're feeling, where we have to constantly be out there, versus earlier, right, where it was more based on performances? You would not get as many performances, it would be spaced out over time. So it was about you and your practice time, in that when you're mostly not recording your practice time and putting it there. But here, now that the camera is ubiquitous, it's always there, you have the power to share anytime. Everything is kind of being shared, and you almost kind of feel like, are we trying to prove a point here by being out there all the time? Do we have to fulfill any need we feel as a human, that we're missing out on? Deeper questions to ask, you know, because now it's all pervasive, the camera. However, I think it's done wonders, like I was saying, for people to express, for people to watch, consume. And it's better than watching junk TV and all, anyways, right? So it's helpful.
Right. Um, so recently there have been a There have been several debates by critics on the usage of various spaces like corridors, balconies, kitchen, living room, instead of stages or temples for the performance of classical art forms. What are your views on the usage of personal space by dancers? And do you think that classical art form should be performed in a space like this? Or does it require a certain formal aesthetic?
As long as you're respecting the art form, I think space is not an issue at all. Look at Sarvam Shakti girls, right? Where do they perform and practice their art forms? I don't know if you've seen a video of one of the Shakti girls. There's a hole in her floor. She's dancing around that hole, while her mother is making rotis on the side and serving food across her. They don't have space. What are they going to do? Most artists don't belong to well-to-do families where they have access to their own studio spaces, or their guru studio that they can go to, and so many other things. They have very limited spaces. Where are they going to dance? So it's perfectly fine. What are you respecting? The art form is all that matters. We have to change and move with the time. So I don't agree at all with it being wrong in any way.
All right. Yeah, I think that's also very so this also largely stems from the fact. So as a former student of history, like whatever I used to read, so there used to be a lot of division within the community, and somewhere somewhere things like space used to be a hindrance for a lot of people from marginalized section of the society to enter that sector. For example, not having the right sort of costumes, like, like the right still studies to perform in, not having the right aesthetics of the practice areas. Like, not everyone can have an entire room to themselves with a proper mirror in front of which they can perform. People have to adjust, and I think these are certain accommodations that, especially this time, needs and requires. And people need to be a little bit more open minded when it comes to these things and not be very stringent or strict when it comes to these ethics. Like, again, like as you just mentioned, like, as long as you're respecting the art form, that's that's it.
Exactly.
Right. Uh, so considering that you with Sarvam Shakti, you're in this space where you are helping young girls from marginalized section of society. Has there been any assistance from the government or any other non-government organization during this difficult time, perhaps in form of aid, medical assurance, loan, etc.? And do you think it has reached to all artists equally and equitably? Also, like just a follow up to that, like there's a lot of supporting crew as well, which in an otherwise performance, like in an otherwise on-stage performance, people such as backstage artists, stage technicians, have they also been able to access that aid?
I would not know with what the government of India is doing right now for artists based there. I'm not there. But I know, as being a dancer who was very much in the scene for many, many years, there is not any support. Classical dance music, unless you're well connected, you come from a lineage, you have the networking skills to put yourself out there. I'm sure you've seen that in theater as well. I don't know, but
Right.
I know for sure in dance music, and it's and I've always been very vocal about it. A person like me doesn't still get any. Even if I want an appointment, I will not get it, no matter what I may be doing, quote unquote, for society, because I'm not related to someone, I'm not someone's daughter or cousin or whatever, that I can
Don't
get
have
an
the
appointment.
surname.
I don't have the surname. I
Yeah.
don't have I don't have networking skills of the kind that you need, because I don't put myself out there, let's put it that way. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not at all condoning it. And in fact, I have friends who belong to lineages and families, so I'm not condoning any of it. I'm just saying, sorry, I'm not blaming any of it. I'm just saying classical arts does not have the support it deserves and needs, never has had. Probably, I don't know when it ever will, because it's just not seen to be of value the way, let's say, Bollywood is in our society, or cricket is, or even for that matter now, with all of the Netflix and all of these other things that have a lot of other channels. Somehow we've just not packaged it well, put it out there, and all of these things. And so I know I've spoken to a couple of supporting artists as well in this time, and everyone has struggled. I don't know if the people who have had that support, who've been connected and all of that. But I know for the people who have not, they have struggled. Nothing much has come through. For Sarvam Shakti as well, right? Like you won't believe it, but for me as well, though I have not reached out as an organization yet to the government of India for help, but I know I did reach out to one or two, and I'm not going to name them, one or two of our main art bodies. And when I was there in India 2 years ago, and even then I had not got an appointment. Even when I did get an appointment, they didn't even like make me sit and speak with me. It was so like, yeah, whatever, you're helping. And for me, it was like, I've not even come to ask you for monetary help. All I've come to do is introduce what the work we're doing, see if they have any opportunities for the girls, because some of them are really talented dancers, but I was not even given the time of day. And so, and me being me, I'm like, you know what? You keep doing good work, stuff happens, stuff will figure out. If not them, there are so many other windows that open up. So I keep that faith going. But it's unfortunate because I still can take care of myself. It's not my main profession, it's not my bread and butter. But what for people where it is? So we need to do something about this very seriously, very urgently.
Just adding on to your point, like I've also had very similar experience, and I don't know if it's because of my young age or what. Like I've approached to a lot of people for a lot of good work that my organization is doing, and oftentimes it's not even met with like a common decent respect. Like something that you just mentioned, like it just reminded me of like so many meetings wherein like just offering a seat. Like it was a 15-minute long conversation, and the lease was like, yeah, please sit and talk. Like it was just, I don't know, maybe they saw that, hey, it's another young boy, like it's another young person who's just like, just trying to do something for like God knows what reason. But I've like seen it from a lot of people, mostly from people from older generation. And it is very disrespectful. Like, not going anywhere about the work or anything, but in general, it is so disrespectful when you enter a space, you want to do some good work, you're not asking for a lot. You're not asking for money. You're just asking for basic recognition of your work, some assistance in whatever best capacity that they can do, like monetary, non-monetary. And even when that is not met, like it's a little strange to see like the kind of responses that like especially
It
people from
is.
older generation give. So,
It really is. And anyone in authority, actually. And so it's, why do you think like people who are not from well-to-do families can never enter these spaces? Well-to-do or well-connected families cannot be these artists in classical, unfortunately. And or you have your own flourishing dance school where you can sustain yourself and still be a practitioner. That's great. If you're able to do that, then you can be from any kind of background. But if not, if you're not able to, let's say, hire a hall or advertise or keep the students and all, because of, you can't be an artist full time, especially in dance, and so yeah, it's unfortunate. And which is why at Sarvam Shakti, I'm very sure, I've told the girls, like, look, if people like me cannot survive in this field, and I do have many other interests as well. So social work is a big interest, which I'm studying it further and all. Mental health is. But yes, I do yearn so many times also to be more into dance as well. But I don't have the opportunities. No matter how skilled I am, I don't have that level. Someone that, how they say in Bollywood, that hand on your head is there.
yeah,
Or,
right.
who pick up a make phone, make calls for you. You need that, unfortunately, here. So what do you do? So with Sarvam Shakti, look, it's a tool, it's a skill for so many other things that you'll develop physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. It'll be a tool to earn money should you want to become a dance teacher in schools, or open your own classes at home, wherever you're living or married or wherever. But don't expect to make it a full-time profession, no matter how talented you are.
I think this is something that a lot of other artists, like I've been speaking to, like artists from different backgrounds, theater, music, the technical stuff. And this is something that a lot of people have said that, it's so difficult making this a full time profession because the like two things, like, and very honestly, like the first thing being the money, like there's no money in it. There's very difficult to sustain. Secondly, there's not even enough respect in the profession. Like,
Not at
yeah,
all.
and this is where it hurts the most because they say like a lot of like even if we are, let's say, doing it knowing the fact that there's no money in it, we are following our passion. But when your passion is not even being respected,
Correct.
then that's something, where it pinches and where it hurts the most to a lot of
Exactly.
artists. And yeah, like I used to do theater earlier, and this is the very constant thing that I used to face as well. That, like, like someday I have to draw the line and decide that whether I'll be able to survive financially with the sort and the instability that theater, especially in India and in Delhi, is going to provide me. A lot of
Yes.
people move to other areas, like from theater, they perhaps move to like mainstream acting, like cinema, TV. But again, like those are still things that are related to theater, but not hardcore theater. And very few people are able to do it. Uh, Fortunately, unfortunately, most who do come from those well-connected families or that circle, but that's the nature of things, apparently.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right. So just adding on to whatever we have been speaking just now, uh, considering that artists in India have been consistently neglected by those in power, especially those practicing non-mainstream art or from marginalized communities, do you think that our perspective towards the performing art need to be changed? And again, I don't see like it happen anytime soon. But what can the government do to support performing artists and create a much more positive outlook towards these performing arts?
To take it out of the hands of the few and give it to the many, firstly. Those in power who make decisions in the government artistic bodies, it's not right what happens there. So for and like a lot of people, I've given talks in this. In fact, I gave a talk 2 years ago at the Museum of Liverpool on this. And there were very interesting people there who were speaking on the panel with me. And the whole discussion was on, is arts viable as a career option at all or not? And the point that I brought up there, which was well received actually, was, is engineering viable or not? Is law viable or not? Of course it is. Why is it? Because there's development infrastructure around it. Economies are structured to make sure people become engineers and lawyers and doctors because we have the job opportunities for it. So what comes first, chicken or egg? Same thing. You ensure that, because it, come to think of it, it is a skill. Just as law is a skill, art is a skill. If there's a demand for law, they totally can be a demand for art. It just, the whole, it has to be a very top down initiative where art is made as mandatory as other subjects are made. Now, they'll say it doesn't benefit the economy because you're not thinking of it in economic terms. You're thinking of it in entertainment terms or something that you do as a passion. Start thinking of it very economically, strategically, and create policies around it. So that when people become more artists, of course, there's more consumption of art, more people doing skill learning, teachers grow, professors grow, consumers grow, and so many other things. Just the way now, like there's so much of focus on sports is growing. So there's so many more NGOs focusing on sports because there are different avenues. Of course, India is still far behind, but there are avenues opening up for sports. Same way you have to do for arts, fine arts, performing arts. That kind of impetus by the government has to come for people to start taking it more seriously versus just saying commerce and science are the two streams, humanities is not even considered a stream because you see it as not, and that's still humanities, which is still these subjects, is not even arts we're talking about. So that's the whole perception. So you have to change the perception. The government has to change the perception of the society. Start thinking of it in economic terms. Where it's very much a demand, especially now in the pandemic. People have seen how much mental health comfort it gives when you take to just something as simple as sewing and knitting and painting and craft and all of these things. You're because we are we're not robots. Like, there's a difference between being a human being and being a robot. Like, you cannot be in front of a computer typing away all the time, or doing paperwork all the time. We need to feel like the touch is such a important aspect of being human. Connection is such an important aspect of being human. There's something about the Chinese proverb which says that if you have 1 pence or 1 quarter or whatever, don't buy a loaf of bread, buy a lily and smell it. Because even animals eat. And mind you, animals are so in touch and they're so beautiful, because where they didn't go wrong is that with their tuning, the whole aspect of our frontal cortex of the brain, which makes us make so many patterns and connections, it can work in our favor, but it can work against us when we're making people robots, because you're just programming negatively in your mind versus having that outlet for making patterns and connections which only arts gives you. So we should be using that for our benefit and being more like animals, more in touch with each other, and because we have that evolutionary development more than them for doing that. But I don't know where we went wrong, and we're just using it for more and more capitalistic stuff versus exploring what makes us truly human, and that's connection and nature and pattern forming of creativity and intuition and the capability to make abstract imagery out of nothing and all of these other things. And it's so unfortunate that we've just, like, we're not focusing on that at all. I mean, just, I know I've gone on too long. I'll just end this here by saying something as simple as, with Sarvam Shakti, I see, right? And we're going to start speaking more about our work soon. We haven't yet. But we have enough material now to show that when you train a child in dance very seriously, or in yoga with focus on meditation and all of these other aspects of yoga, their improvement in their studies is amazing. Apart from everything else improving, from self confidence and self worth and just physical, mental, emotional health and all of these things. Of course, they perform better in school. Of course, they're better integrated into society. They're more responsible, teamwork, discipline, hard work. So many other virtues come along with these forms. Their brains, I wish I could put them into MRI machines to see a before and after, but I'm so sure parts of their brains would be so much more amplified, like the hippocampus region, for example, would be much, because it can remember so much more complex stuff. So, yeah, I'll close by saying it has to unfortunately come from the government, because it is a nationwide thing. But people like you and me are equally important. At least we're doing stuff, that is making people think that these things are important.
Right. So just continuing on that point only, how do you think audiences or lay viewers can support the art at this crucial junction?
Well, of course, if there are paid concerts, see if you can attend them. Money does go to the artists. Secondly, do follow artists and encourage them, and see where you can involve in your organizations. For example, if you're a corporate and you're going to be having a meeting, like an investors meet, or whatever, like get together of the board, see if you can include an artist in that too, as in as instead of, so before all of this happened, basically, I remember with a lot of the conferences that used to happen in Delhi or other places, they would often call people from Bollywood kind of dance troupes to perform, to open the event, or as a cultural part of the evening, and so on. And I remember when I was doing Sarvam Foundation a lot more, which was curation of events and all of that in Delhi, I would put forward to these kind of organizations that, look, you Bollywood and all is fine, no harm, but why not include aspects of classical and some poetry and a little bit of theater if you can. And I don't know if you know, but I also was a TEDx organizer. So at my TEDx events, I would make sure that I gave a lot of space to artists to do an idea worth spreading, but in an art form. So we used to do that. I used to encourage that. So that's something similar I think people can do. See if you can fit some artistic performance in your schedule, whatever you're doing, even if it's like an NGO board of directors meeting, can someone come and perform for like 5-10 minutes? Put people in a good kind of calm mood to then do the work. It helps. All of these things help.
Right. Um, okay, this just brings to my last question. The pandemic has had a lot of impact on the working of dance and other performing arts. What do you think might be the long-term implications of this on your art form? And what could be the way forward for dancers and dance audience in this regard?
I think it can go in the positive way as well if we kind of start using technology better. And people have. So, like a lot of teachers, for example, now are teaching online, right? So their courses are online and all. So people are learning. So their teachers also getting paid, the students also getting to learn. Performances can start happening online as well, and paid performances, not just free ones. So in these aspects, it's great. Because even I've taken some workshops over this time online, and I know it's not the same as when you're in person, but it's not that bad either, if you keep the numbers small and then you keep focused. So I would say let's not go down, like, let's not think of what negative things will happen. I'm sure there will be, but let's see how we can focus on the positive and make the best use of it in this time. Even if that means like in person you open up and there are limited classes and numbers, may mean that the teachers will have to give more classes, so and in fewer numbers and so on. But it's okay, like, we know as humans we've been resilient with every possible catastrophe that's come our way. So there can be resilience here as well.
Right. And I think at least in theater, I can speak of this. Like one positive effect that this entire pandemic has brought is that there's been a lot of cost cutting now. Like you don't need to spend on a space. Like spaces are very
Exactly.
difficult to get and very expensive. So like like even for your practice, like I know so many theater groups who like who had no other option but to practice in a park in the heat of June or July in Delhi, and manage somehow. They don't need to do it anymore because they can do it from the comfort of their home, and they don't need to either spend money or be in difficult or uncomfortable places or situations. Like for something like a space. So like the entire
Exactly.
idea of space has changed now.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
Uh, Yes. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this again. Like it has been like a wonderful experience. Like I learned a lot from you. Like it was so very inspiring to hear you talk so passionately about the work that you're doing, especially with Sarvam Shakti. It's I again request a lot of like everyone who's watching, please donate whatever you can. The money is going to very good use, and there a lot of girls are gonna be at the receiving end of those services that Sarvam Shakti is providing, and it's going to have a long-term impact on them. So please go out and support them to the best of your abilities. Again, just remember 200 bucks, like a cup of coffee, like just one cup of coffee. Like leave that one cup of coffee, and just yeah.
That's so sweet, Kunal. Thanks so much. They can just visit the website sarvamshakti.org, go to the support us page if you'd like to donate directly, or if you just write us an email and we'll connect you with the girls. So we don't even need the money. You can just directly recharge their phone for them from the Geo website because they all have Geo. That's really helpful. And Kunal, congrats to ITISARAS and all of the work you're doing. You don't have to do it, but you're doing it. So we're grateful for that.
Thank you so very much. Oh, so just like mention before ending, just mentioning one more thing. Um, so considering that how this entire pandemic has impacted the art, the artists, the technical support staff, the other supporting crew. So we have started a petition on change.org, urging the government, especially the Ministry of Culture, to provide some sort of assistance, not just financial, but other sort of support to these struggling artists during this time. We have already made a petition. Please go out of your way and like support us. It's nothing. Like we are just asking for your support in this. If you receive enough signatures, like at least we will be in a position where we can approach the government, approach the minister for cultural affairs and present it to him. And we do have a plan of action in mind, but we can only do it if we have enough. support from the people on the ground. So I request you all, you'll find the link somewhere in the description below. But yes, please go and support us. Just sign the petition. It's on change.org. We'll also be putting a link below. So please just support us. If you can ask all the people who admire you, who follow your work, to help us in our endeavor, that'll be great.
Definitely.
Thank you so much again, Neha. It was lovely speaking to you. All the very best. Take care.
Thanks for watching our videos. We work hard to make sure you keep coming back for the content we produce. Don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe to our channel by clicking the bell icon below.